Hello everyone, how's it going? It is 12/16/2020. I have three stocks that I'm currently watching. All of them are the biggest percent gainers. AEMD is the first day green day, the most promising of them all. Looking at the long-term chart now, it looks like we might have some people who are going to be selling into this spike, possibly. Just looking back, it does seem like it can spike and hold a few days, but not really too well. Just a little bit sketchy. Not the best long-term chart, but I have definitely seen worse. NXTD is a second day higher floats. It's also a very spiky stock like the previous one, and it previously had a big spike day with a lot of volume not too long ago. So there could definitely be people selling into the spike from this previous play. Definitely people who became bag holders who are now having the opportunity to sell that could wear it out. MVCN is the worst long-term chart. Just really bad. I might not even trade this, but we'll just watch it anyway just to see if anything comes up. But it's just least likely going to do anything for that reason. A little conflicted because I'm watching the live stream with Tim Sykes, so maybe I won't trade today and I'll just listen. After all, I would like to hear his perspective trading all these OTCs that I have been neglecting. Otherwise, right now I'm just interested in AEMD for a potential inverse head and shoulders. Alright, it is market open 9:30. Just wanted to know maybe it's going to make an inverse head and shoulder, potentially forming a head. Of course, if it just keeps dipping too much, it's not going to be a setup. Otherwise, I'm just casually looking at these stocks, these first day, second day stocks. Tim is already roasting AEMD for being a biotech that he doesn't want to chase. Probably for the better. Anyway, still potential inverse head and shoulders, but if this guy doesn't hold 289 and if it keeps dropping and it makes a head like it's doing right now, a head that is just way too big, shoulders way too small compared to the head, I just won't trade that. I've seen that not work so well, and it won't be a trading day, but that'll be totally fine because I get to watch this this live stream. Alright, it is 9:39 a.m. AEMD did fail the inverse head and shoulders. This would have been the shoulder head. It didn't make another shoulder. I didn't trade it because obviously it didn't play the setup, so I'm still watching it. Very freaking wicky, just crazy wicky. It's just very spooky looking. Anyway, it could make a shoulder here, head here, shoulder there. Perhaps, but I'm not really too focused. I'm just watching these OTCs that Tim is trading. Tim was struggling to sell not most, but the rest of his position. He did a small buy at 110, sold half at 116-ish, 117-ish. And then we have another stock here, TSMP. This guy's been making dip buys I don't know how many times. I'm not even actively looking at these, but it's been mentioned a lot of times. A lot of dip buys. It was a nice one. I mean, 10 already at 11. Who knows how high it can go? We have a humongo looking, well, I guess he might be fake, but a big guy on the ask was right there. We'll see how high this thing can go, and I'll just keep watching the webinar. Nothing really solid in terms of what I want to trade. I'm not going to chase Tim's trades. I'm not a degenerate, degrading, self-degrading piece of crap. I'm gonna just learn from it, unless we just happen to have the same trading idea at the same time. That's the only reason why I would trade a stock that Tim is in. I'm not gonna chase his trades. That's stupid. I've studied so much to just copy other people's trades. That would be, it's not even about ego. It's just about not being a degenerate, just wanting to be independent. So yeah, no real setups right now. I'm just continuing to watch the webinar. AEMD, maybe you'll make an inverse head and shoulders. I might not even trade this because it's so damn wicky. The head doesn't look that nice. If this is it, I don't mind this. I don't mind missing it. Yesterday's was pretty bad to miss, but this I don't mind missing that at all. Okay, it is 9:48 a.m. AEMD. I just don't want to trade that. That is just ugly. You might call this an inverse head and shoulders. I just call it an ugly spaghetti monster. It's very, very ugly. Was definitely picky yesterday with the other inverse head and shoulders. This is ugly. It might not even work out, and it might work out too, but it's just ugly as heck. Um, yeah, it's just super ugly. On top of that, it's just it's just so wicky. NXTD is having a nice bounce. No real entry. I guess the fact that it held this level right here. Of course, technical analysis is not perfect, so it didn't hold it perfectly, but this is in theory holding this level, and it looks like it might try to round off. Who knows? I don't see anything that I'm really interested in doing. It would have been a buy here had I been watching closely, perhaps, but no, nothing. MVCN, just gonna remove this guy. It looks like crap. This thing was shortable in E-Trade. I wouldn't have shorted this either. It's just crap. RSCF Tim, I think he bought right here. Right? No, he bought here, struggled selling, got this rest sold, got everything else sold here, dropped more. I think he bought some more here, but he got a partial execution. NXTD, AEMD, not really interested in them. SFOR had an initial spike. It was down at the market open, I believe. I'm just gonna continue watching the webinar. Really don't see any setups, and I'm glad to see this not working because some really picky, not picky as in it doesn't look nice, but some picky as in like, yeah, I think this counts. No, this is spaghetti monster. You don't trade spaghetti monster. It is 9:54 a.m. TSMP made one of those ascending triangle patterns. The idea that it's down, so it's a dip buy, morning panic. Had an initial one, failed, tried again, holding its level, and then it did this. But I just don't like trading random freaking triangles. It can be very effective on listed stocks if you see something like that. Not with this little amount of candles, but if you see it a lot, like a big build up over 20-30 minutes. I have seen those spike tremendously. I don't really know how well these things go with OTCs. The level 2 is looking okay. It could be better. Just no real setups. Probably just gonna keep watching the webinar, but it does kind of look like an ascending triangle right here. I guess I got a little excited there. Not too many candles to really make this ideal. I'm just trying to see what kind of patterns can I watch, what patterns seem to be working with OTCs, because I know OTCs are completely different from listed stocks, so I just have to keep watching these stocks and these movements to see what kind of patterns are consistent in terms of percentage gain and profitability, all those things in mind, so that I can consider trading them. It's me trying to do OTCs is me basically almost, if you can call it, starting over, because OTCs trade much differently. They have their own quirks and features if you watch Doug DeMuro. But anyway, just noting that there's an ascending triangle potential right here. Not gonna trade it. It could fail. These things could always fail with OTCs. I don't know. But I'll definitely keep watching this stock as well as the webinar. Okay, it is 10 o'clock a.m. TSMP did do the ascending triangle. I would be selling already. At the end of the day, it's down 13%. It doesn't have to bounce all the way back. It could have a morning panic, bounce a little like it did here, and then do a little baby move. Just would not be long this anymore. I would have already sold into here, especially here when it got a pretty big green candle before it turned into that red candle. It's actually reacting pretty quickly to this. It seems to be dropping. Like I said, I would have been out of this already just because of the fact that, well, even if I was in it right now, I don't know much about OTC, so I would probably be very conservative, selling extra soon just because I don't know how these guys trade. I know these things, you can get trapped with your order entry, so you can definitely get trapped because of the way they trade compared to a listed stock. You just jump in the pool. TSMP is like, I don't know, what do you call it? It's like jumping through a spider web that is slowly breaking through until you enter the pool. I don't know if that's a good analogy. AEMD just keeps falling off a cliff. No trades, no setups here. Just no inverse head and shoulders, nothing. Spaghetti monster, I guess, was a short sign. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have traded that longer short. Why would anybody trade this? I guess in theory it made a double top, but I wouldn't have shorted here. That's just stupid. Who's gonna short a stock right here near the highs? You know, pre-markets, just a few minutes before the market opened. Sure, it had this big drop, right? But it didn't have to have that. It did, but who's gonna short, 5 minutes before the market opened? That's ridiculous. So no setups here. Somebody is actually shorting this in the chat. So they probably have interactive brokers. I have an account with them too, but I don't have a margin account. So yeah, I have to change that to margin as soon as I qualify. NXTD actually doing very nice. It came back. It broke past the pre-market highs, fell back. I wouldn't have bought that because that didn't drop relatively close to the breakout level. And then it had a follow-up spike lower than this spike. But I guess when it got here and it held the pre-market highs, not perfectly sure, but when it held it, in theory, I mean, it's doing this spike right here. This thing, it doesn't have to, but it can continue running. So that's pretty impressive. RSCF seems to be done. Just to summarize, Timba here, sold some here. Struggled selling the rest around here, and then he bought again. I think, yeah, he bought again here, a small position, sold, I'm not sure where, but he probably sold for a small profit. TSMP, yep, absolutely presented a very small opportunity. It's just, just really putting things in my mind, just learning what patterns really work with OTCs. Clearly, the number 5 pattern. I'm not shorting these guys. If you wanted to do a number 6, that's crazy. But definitely number 5 patterns. Yeah, that's all I have. I'll just watch NXTD. I won't trade anything probably today. I'll keep watching the webinar. Alright, it is 10:27 a.m. I don't want to trade this, but AEMD in theory is forming a potential inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, and then if it makes another shoulder, it could be an inverse head and shoulders. Maybe I'll trade it. It would be much cleaner now. It's not the spaghetti monster it used to be. It's up 46%, so it's still relatively up. Don't like the overall progress of the day, and I don't like the long-term chart too much. So I have to take those things into consideration. Maybe trade a smaller position size. Of course, if this thing even happens, or maybe I won't trade it at all. NXTD, pretty impressive. It came up. Now it's not holding this level right here around the high 70s. So it's not truly something that will be interesting in terms of maybe a dip buy opportunity, but not. It's right under it, so you can almost call it a confirmed breakdown. It could still spike, but I won't be trading it for that reason. RSCF had that initial panic and bounce. Again, this is the one that Tim traded twice. I think he actually wasn't able to get half of his shares sold at 16. I think he sold all of them at 106, which sucks. AEMD, again, potential inverse head and shoulders. Probably won't trade it. I might if it happens, of course, and it's clean and it makes a wick or a big red candle to risk after, and then after that it makes a very, very small candle to show that it's holding the position level, at least a chance. But for now it's not something I'm going to trade. NXTD is pretty much the most interesting one, but yeah, there's no true setups right now. Okay, it is 11:01 a.m. I'm pretty much done with the markets. It's not good to trade midday, even if there are a bunch of stocks that spike midday. It's just not something I'm going to be doing. AEMD did kind of pull off inverse head and shoulders, and I was right not to trade it. Just didn't like the overall price action. Didn't like this wiki mess right here. In theory, it kind of had a fake out shoulder right here. The thing is that this guy, first of all, made this a little baby shoulder. That would have thrown me off. I would have not have traded this. I wouldn't have bought this because it never presented a big red candle or a big wick to risk off of. So once it did this drop right here, that would have just completely thrown me off. And that's a good thing, because if it doesn't present itself, the opportunity, a shoulder, head, shoulder that is forming around the same range as the other shoulder, not too far from the head, a big red candle to risk off of, or a big wick to risk off of, I'm not trading it even if it plays out perfectly. Again, yesterday was a clear example. If you want to go back and watch the video, it's a long video, you can skip through it and see when this pattern starts forming on the other stock. I forgot the name. I think it was AERN, I don't remember. It started with an A though. And yeah, like this, I wouldn't have never traded this just because they had this guy right here and it dropped like that. I would have wanted the shoulder to be bigger, number one. Two, even if I didn't want it to be bigger, it never had a big red candle or a big wick to risk off of, so that's why I didn't trade this. In theory, it could work out right here, have a fake out shoulder, but that's not something I'm going to be trading. NXTD again had that nice breakout. So it broke out, fell, held a bit better here, and then it broke out some more. Follow-up breakout. Now it's been downtrending. It looks like it might try to make a reversal here, having a potential higher low opportunity. Just not going to trade it. It's 11 a.m. RSCF. Again, it's actually nice. It got up to 16, but who would have held that long? That's not something that you should be doing. That's not the best case scenario. It was really just buying here and selling around here in the 8s. Maybe if you were a little risky, you'd wait longer for 14, but it could have dropped at any point during that time. This didn't look too bullish, if you ask me. So no setups today, no trades today. Failed inverse head and shoulders. Even if it does it right now, it goes to 280 midday, I don't care. This would have completely canceled me out. I really like the fact that, after looking at so many of them, I learned to risk off the big red candle bottom or the wick, so that protects me from something like this, a complete fake outs opportunity. I'll keep watching the webinar just for listening to the Q&A, but I'm going to consider it done. No trades for today, and that's totally fine.